The day Earth officially joined the galactic community started with a sunrise and ended with blood. Lieutenant Jack Martinez stood at attention beside the landing pad, watching alien ships descend through the clouds. Their sleek hulls gleamed like polished silver against the blue Arizona sky. "Never thought I'd see the day," Specialist Olivia Grant whispered beside him, her uniform crisp and perfect despite the desert heat. "Focus," Jack reminded her, though he felt the same wonder. 6 months had passed since humanity detected the alien signals. 2 months since they had answered. Today was the first face-to-face meeting. The lead ship settled onto the landing pad with barely a sound. Jack noted how the design seemed almost delicate compared to the bulky human shuttles nearby. A door slid open, revealing creatures that looked nothing like the movies had predicted. The Commonwealth delegates emerged, some tall and willowy with blue-tinted skin, others squat with multiple limbs. Their ambassador, who called himself Relteth, had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern and skin that rippled with colors when he spoke. "We welcome you to Earth," the human ambassador said, stepping forward with an outstretched hand. Relteth hesitated before extending a 3-fingered hand. "Your world is most unusual. Our scans indicate environmental conditions that should be hostile to intelligent life." Jack listened carefully from his position. The security detail had been briefed extensively. No sudden movements. Maintain distance. Show no weapons. First impressions mattered. The meeting proceeded to the conference building. Jack and Olivia followed at a respectful distance, scanning constantly for threats. Something about the way the aliens moved suggested they found Earth uncomfortable. Frequent blinking, careful breathing. Occasional flinches at ordinary sounds. "They think we're the strange ones," Olivia muttered. The conference had barely begun when Jack noticed movement on a nearby rooftop. His enhanced combat implants tagged the shape immediately. Humanoid, but definitely not human. "Contact. North rooftop," he said into his comm. In the same moment, something flashed in the sunlight. Jack moved without thinking. He covered 20 meters in seconds, tackling the human ambassador as a projectile sliced through the air where she had stood. Olivia simultaneously drew her sidearm and fired 3 precise shots toward the attacker. Chaos erupted. More attackers appeared. Tall, angular aliens with mottled gray skin. One leaped from a second-story window, landing with unnatural grace before firing a weapon that discharged blue energy. The Commonwealth delegates froze, clearly terrified. Jack shouted to Olivia, "Get the delegates to cover." A blue energy blast hit Jack's left shoulder. Pain seared through him, but his combat stims activated immediately. He'd been through worse in Nigeria. Drawing his weapon, he fired at the nearest attacker while moving to flank the others. Olivia had already herded most of the delegates behind a concrete barrier. One alien attacker charged her position. She met it head-on, her combat training evident as she dodged its clawed strike and delivered a counterblow that sent the creature sprawling. Jack felt another energy blast graze his side. He ignored the burning sensation, continuing his advance. 3 attackers remained. He dropped one with a clean headshot, then rolled behind a planter as return fire peppered his position. The remaining attackers suddenly backed away, speaking rapidly in an unknown language. Seconds later, they activated devices on their wrists and vanished in flashes of light. When the dust settled, Jack rejoined Olivia and the huddled delegates. Only then did he notice how they were staring at him and Olivia. You're injured," Relteth said, pointing at Jack's shoulder and side where his uniform had burned away, revealing blistered skin. Jack shrugged. "Nothing serious, sir. Med team can patch it up." "Those were Krek's energy weapons," another delegate whispered. "A direct hit should have. You should be dead," Olivia offered, wiping blood from a cut on her cheek. "Takes more than that to put down a human." Later, as medical teams treated the minor injuries, Jack overheard Relteth speaking urgently into a communication device. Not exaggerating. They moved faster than Ventari sprinters, shrugged off Krek's fire, and showed no fear response. Yes, their planet designation is accurate. Class 12 Deathworld. We need to completely reassess our approach. These humans, they're unlike anything we've encountered. Jack caught Olivia's eye. She'd heard it too. What's a Deathworld? She mouthed silently. Jack didn't know, but something told him they would soon find out. 5 years after first contact, Master Sergeant William Bill Porter sat in a dimly lit bar on the edge of New Houston Spaceport. The establishment catered to both humans and aliens, with special sections designed to accommodate different atmospheric needs and gravity preferences. Bill nursed his beer, watching the door. The message had been cryptic. A job offer from someone who valued his unique skills. After 20 years in Force Recon and 3 years trying to adjust to civilian life, Bill was bored enough to be curious. The door slid open, and Bill instantly recognized the alien species, a Tor, tall with 4 arms and skin that resembled polished copper. They moved with the careful precision of someone used to operating in environments not built for their physiology. Sergeant Porter. The Tor approached his table. Just Porter now. Military days are behind me. The alien made a gesture Bill recognized as their version of a smile. Perhaps not as far behind as you think. My name is Krenzov. I represent the Keratin Mercenary Guild. Bill had heard whispers about the guild, the most prestigious collection of fighters for hire in the Commonwealth. You're a long way from your usual recruiting grounds. We're expanding our interests. Krenzov sat across from him. Specifically, we're interested in humans. 2 hours and several confidentiality agreements later, Bill found himself in a private shuttle heading for orbit. Krenzov explained that the Guild had been secretly observing human military personnel for years. Your species possesses natural capabilities that most require extensive genetic modifications or cybernetic enhancements to achieve, the alien said. The shuttle docked with a massive ship hiding in Earth's shadow. Inside, Bill found 3 other humans waiting. Susan Rivera, a demolitions expert who had served in Army Special Forces. Kate Blackwood, a Marine Corps sniper with legendary accuracy. And Peter Holden, a combat engineer whose innovations had saved countless lives in the Nigerian conflict. Welcome to Project Deathwalker, said a new alien voice. Guild Commander Vrex was a Zentari, a species known for their tactical brilliance. You 4 are the beginning of something unprecedented. Over the next 3 months, Bill and his team trained under conditions designed to test their limits. They discovered that what humans considered normal physical capabilities were extraordinary by Commonwealth standards. One morning, after a grueling session where they had run 20 miles in full combat gear, Susan collapsed beside Bill, gulping water. Did you see their faces? She asked, nodding toward their alien observers. You'd think we just performed a miracle. Bill had noticed. Apparently, most species can't regulate their body temperature the way we do, or process lactic acid buildup. Kate joined them, her sniper rifle still slung over her shoulder. Yesterday, Commander Vrex asked me how I could hold my breath so long when lining up shots. Told him all humans can hold their breath for a minute or 2. He looked like I'd grown a second head. The training intensified. They learned to use alien weapons and technology while teaching their guild counterparts human combat techniques. Some concepts proved difficult to translate. No, you have to commit to the punch. Peter was telling a 4-armed Tor fighter. Your species overthinks the pain aspect. Bill watched as understanding slowly dawned on the aliens around them. Humans didn't just have physical advantages. They had evolved on a world where violence was commonplace. Fighting was in their blood in a way most Commonwealth species couldn't comprehend. After a combat simulation where Bill's team defeated opponents with significant technological advantages, Commander Vrex approached him privately. Your team completed that exercise in 17 minutes. The previous record was 53. The Zentari's compound eyes studied Bill carefully. The other guild commanders thought I was exaggerating human capabilities. They won't question me after seeing today's results. What exactly are you grooming us for? Bill asked. The galaxy is changing, Sergeant Porter. Most species evolved in relatively benign environments. They developed intelligence first, then technology to overcome their biological limitations. Vrex gestured toward where Kate and Susan were showing Peter a new hand-to-hand technique. Humans went the opposite route. You evolved to survive one of the harshest known planets, then developed intelligence and technology on top of that foundation. Bill crossed his arms. And that makes us valuable. It makes you the perfect soldiers, Vrex said simply. The Guild has received a contract to pacify a mining colony in revolt. The Kelzari incident, they're calling it. Your team deploys in 2 days. That night, Bill couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what Vrex had said. Humans weren't just joining the galactic community. They were about to show the galaxy what Deathworlders could do. The mining colony of Kelzar 9 hung in space like a cracked egg. From the observation window of the Guild transport ship, Bill Porter could see why the place was valuable. Veins of glowing blue minerals crisscrossed the asteroid's surface, mineable antimatter precursors worth more than gold back on Earth. Toxic dust storm on the southern hemisphere, Susan Rivera said, checking the readings on her tablet. Wind speeds at 200 miles per hour, visibility near zero. Bill nodded. Perfect insertion point. Krenzoth, who had been listening nearby, made a choking sound. Surely you jest. No living being could survive those conditions. We've operated in worse, Kate Blackwood said, checking her sniper rifle with methodical precision. Gas masks, sealed suits, we'll be fine. The alien mercenaries stared at them. The Dravik forces controlling the main facility would never expect an attack through the storm. It would be suicidal for any Commonwealth species. Good thing we're not Commonwealth. Then, Peter Holden said with a grin, already laying out their environmental gear. Their Guild observers insisted on recording the mission for training purposes, though Bill suspected it was more to prove to their superiors that humans could actually do what they claimed. Commander Vrex personally attached microcameras to their combat suits. The Dravik are formidable opponents, Vrex warned during the final briefing. Reptilian, twice your mass, naturally armored. They've never lost a ground engagement. First time for everything, Susan replied. The dropship shuddered as it entered Kelzar 9's thin atmosphere. Bill checked his team one last time. Weapons secure, communications clear, objectives understood. The plan was simple. Infiltrate through the storm, disable the defense grid, secure the mining facility, and capture the Dravik commander. When the bay doors opened, a howling wall of toxic orange dust greeted them. Without hesitation, the 4 humans jumped into the maelstrom. The storm was brutal. Dust particles sharp enough to cut exposed skin whipped around them as they moved through near-zero visibility. Bill's mask filters clogged twice, forcing him to change them on the move. Their suits' external temperature readings showed 140 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to cook most alien species alive. For 4 hours they trudged through conditions that would kill most Commonwealth citizens in minutes. When they finally reached the facility's southern access point, they were covered in orange dust that had worked its way into every crease of their suits. Cutting through now, Peter whispered, applying a thermal torch to the outer door seal. Security systems showing all clear. They really weren't expecting anyone to come through the storm. Inside, the facility was climate-controlled and quiet. Bill split the team, Kate to find a sniper position covering the main control room, Susan to plant charges at key structural points for leverage, and Peter to hack into their security systems. Bill himself would locate and assess the Dravik forces. He found them in the central atrium, 6 massive reptilian mercenaries lounging around a holographic display of the colony's defensive perimeter. They were focused entirely on the northern approach, the logical, safe path any attack would take. Bill watched them from the shadows. Each Dravik stood nearly 8 feet tall, with scales that would likely deflect standard projectiles. Their weapons were heavy plasma cannons that could tear through bulkheads. All in position, Kate's voice came through his earpiece. I count 15 hostiles total. 6 in the atrium, 4 in the control room. 5 patrolling the upper levels. Charges set, Susan confirmed. I can bring down selected corridors on your mark. I'm in their systems, Peter added. Defense grid disabled. They haven't noticed yet. Bill gave the signal. The operation that followed lasted exactly 9 minutes and 27 seconds. Susan's precisely placed explosives isolated groups of Dravik from each other. Kate's impossible shots, taken in near darkness with only thermal imaging, eliminated their heavy weapons before they could be brought to bear. Peter locked down doors and cut communications, creating chaos and confusion. By the time Bill reached the control room, the Dravik commander was alone, his forces either unconscious or contained. The massive reptilian stared at Bill with vertical pupilled eyes. Impossible. The Dravik hissed. No one could come through the storm. What manner of creatures are you? Just humans, Bill answered, lowering his weapon slightly. From Earth. The commander's scales shifted color. A sign of fear, Bill had been briefed. Deathworlders, he whispered. The rumors were true. 2 days later, when the storm cleared and Commonwealth peacekeepers arrived, they found the facility secured and operational, with not a single mining worker harmed. The Dravik forces were alive but subdued, their commander having formally surrendered to the human stormwalkers, as he called them. The mission recording spread rapidly through guild networks. Bill didn't know it yet, but the Kelzari incident would become the first chapter in a new doctrine of warfare in the Commonwealth. Never underestimate what humans consider standard procedure. Commander Lisa Shepard stood at the observation window of the Commonwealth military headquarters on Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. Earth hung like a blue marble in the distance. She wondered what the aliens thought when they looked at her homeworld. Did they see beauty or terror? The files are ready for your review, Commander, said Lieutenant Alan Reese, handing her a tablet. All 12 team members have been cleared for Nova Squad. Lisa nodded. A year had passed since the Kelzari incident. The success of Bill Porter's mercenary team had convinced Commonwealth military leadership the humans deserved their own special operations unit. What's the word from command? She asked, scrolling through personnel files. They're still nervous, Alan admitted. His background in xenopsychology made him valuable not just for understanding alien enemies, but also for navigating Commonwealth politics. Half of them think we'll save the galaxy. The other half think we'll take it over. Lisa smiled slightly. Let's aim for the first option. The 12 members of Nova Squad gathered in the training facility 3 hours later. Besides Lisa and Alan, there was Ryan Garcia, a communication specialist who could mimic any alien language after hearing it once. Ella Thompson, a combat medic who had saved lives under fire on 3 different worlds, and 8 other elite soldiers chosen for their adaptability and resilience. Welcome to Nova Squad, Lisa began. You were selected because you represent the best humanity has to offer. The Commonwealth has invested considerable resources in this program, and they're watching our every move. Alan added, gesturing discreetly to the observation panel, where several alien military officials stood. This is as much a test as it is an opportunity. Training began immediately. The Commonwealth provided advanced technology and weapons, but the real value was in the intelligence they shared about potential adversaries. Top of the list was the Sarketh Collective, a militaristic species expanding aggressively along the borders of Commonwealth space. During the 3rd week of training, Commonwealth observers arranged a demonstration. Nova Squad would face combat simulations designed to test their physiological limits. These scenarios would be impossible for most species, explained General Zex Troll, a 6-limbed being with metallic skin. We wish to document human capabilities accurately. The first test placed the squad in a chamber where gravity gradually increased. Commonwealth standards rated 1.5 times Earth gravity as the upper limit for comfortable operation. Nova Squad continued functioning effectively at 2.3 times before the test was stopped. Not because they couldn't continue, but because the observers were concerned about potential injury. We can handle more, Ryan protested as they exited the chamber. Marines train in higher G than that. The wound recovery test startled the alien observers most. After controlled injuries equivalent to deep cuts were administered under medical supervision, the aliens watched in apparent shock as human healing processes began immediately. "Your bodies redirect blood flow away from the wound site," marveled the Commonwealth medical officer, a jellied being floating in a specialized environment suit. "And your pain response is minimal. It's called adrenaline," Ella explained, bandaging her own arm with casual efficiency. "Perfectly normal." The sleep deprivation test lasted 3 days. The squad remained operational after 72 hours without rest, completing complex tasks with only modest decreases in performance. "Enough," General Zex Troll finally said. "We have sufficient data." That evening, Lisa was called to the command center. A classified communication had arrived from Commonwealth High Command. When she returned to the squad's quarters, her expression was serious. "We have our first mission," she announced. "The Sarkith have been detected on Viridian, a jungle world with ruins containing technology from an extinct civilization. They've hired elite mercenaries called Nyxari Shadow Hunters to secure the site." "Never heard of them," Ryan said. "Nobody has beaten them," Alan replied, reading from his tablet. "They have natural camouflage abilities and enhanced sensory organs. They can allegedly detect heartbeats from 50 meters away." Lisa watched her team absorb this information without fear. Only excitement and determination showed on their faces. "Operation Silent Fall begins in 48 hours, she said. "The Commonwealth thinks this mission should take a month. Let's show them what Nova Squad can do in a week." As they prepared their gear, Lisa overheard one of the Commonwealth observers speaking to General Zextral. "Are we certain about deploying them so soon? The data suggests they exceed our projections, but the Nyxari are legendary hunters." The jungle world of Viridian smelled like rotting fruit and wet earth. Lisa Shepard led Nova Squad through dense undergrowth that towered 20 feet above their heads. Massive flowers with teeth lined the path, snapping at insects the size of birds. "Charming place," Ryan Garcia muttered, swatting away a blue mosquito-like creature. "Reminds me of training in the Amazon." "The Amazon doesn't have carnivorous trees," Alan Reese replied, pointing to a swaying trunk that had just digested some small animal. "Commonwealth briefing calls this a Class 9 death world." "So 3 steps below Earth," Ella Thompson said with a slight smile. "Should feel like a vacation." They had been on Viridian for 2 days, moving steadily toward the ancient ruins where Sarkith forces were attempting to extract weapons technology. The Commonwealth had dropped them 50 miles from the target to avoid detection. For any other species, this would have been an impossible insertion. For humans used to long-range recon, it was standard procedure. On the 3rd day, their communications went dead. "Jammed," Ryan confirmed after checking his equipment. "Has to be the Nyxari. They're known for it." Lisa nodded. They had trained for this. "Switch to Contingency Plan Delta. We split into 3 teams. Ryan and I will continue to the primary objective. Ellen, take your team and circle west to the secondary entrance. Ella, your team provides medical support and covers our exit route." The jungle grew denser as they approached the ruins. Ancient stone structures jutted from the vegetation like broken teeth. Lisa could see signs of recent activity: cut vegetation, boot prints that weren't human. "Movement ahead," Ryan whispered, freezing in place. "Something using active camouflage." Lisa signaled the team to take cover. Through the trees, she could see shadowy figures moving with unnatural grace. The Nyxari were tall and thin, with elongated limbs and skin that shifted colors to match their surroundings. Their heads housed sensory organs that could detect heat, electricity, and even heartbeats. "They'll hear our heartbeats," Ryan whispered. "Not if they're listening for the wrong rhythm," Lisa replied. She pulled out a small device Ella had created. It generated the sound of Commonwealth standard heartbeats, faster and lighter than human ones. She activated it and tossed it 20 yards to their left. The reaction was immediate. Three Nixeri shifted direction, moving toward the decoy. Lisa and Ryan slipped past them, entering the ancient complex through a partially collapsed wall. Inside, the air was thick with spores that made their eyes water. Lisa's implanted comm unit crackled to life. Alan's team had made contact. "We've engaged hostiles." His voice came through with static. "They're using some kind of neurotoxin. 3 of my team are showing symptoms." "Fall back to extraction point 2, Lisa ordered. "Ella, can you help them?" "Already working on it," the medic replied. In the background, Lisa could hear Ella giving instructions. "The toxin targets synaptic functions in most species, but human physiology is different. I can synthesize an antidote from the local plants." Lisa and Ryan pressed deeper into the ruins. Stone carvings depicting strange beings covered the walls. Ahead, they could hear the harsh language of the Sarkith. "I can make out what they're saying," Ryan whispered. His gift for languages wasn't just about speaking. His hearing could detect frequencies most humans missed. "They're frustrated. The technology has some kind of genetic lock." A sound behind them made Lisa turn. A Nixeri shadow hunter stood 10 feet away, its camouflage dropping to reveal silvery skin with purple markings. It raised a weapon, but Ryan moved faster, tackling the alien before it could fire. The brief struggle ended with the Nixeri unconscious. Ryan stood up, wiping fluorescent blue blood from his lip. "They're stronger than they look," he said, "but their bones are hollow. They evolved on a low-gravity world." Lisa's comm crackled again. Alan's voice came through, sounding pleased with himself. "Commander, we found their cultural database. These Nixeri have a superstition about creatures that can withstand toxins. They call them death spirits. Ella's immunity to their poison is spreading panic in their ranks." Lisa smiled. "Good. Use it. Psychological warfare is still warfare." By the 6th day, Nova Squad had not only secured the ruins, but had captured the Sarkath commander and half of the Nixeri shadow hunters. The rest had fled, their commander formally requesting extraction from Viridian. As Lisa reported their success to Commonwealth Command, she quoted the final transmission they'd intercepted from the Nixeri leader: "Cannot maintain position against Deathworld entities. Their resistance to toxins and environmental hazards defies natural law. Request immediate withdrawal and contract renegotiation." General Zextral's response came hours later. Mission parameters rated at 30 days. Completed in 6. Nova Squad effectiveness rating: unprecedented. The Mercenary Oversight Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 17 different species sat around a circular table, their various environmental suits and breathing apparatus creating a symphony of clicks and hisses. The emergency meeting had been called after footage from Operation Silent Fall was leaked to major mercenary guilds. "This recording cannot be authentic," insisted Dravkel, leader of the Crystal Talon mercenaries. The squat, 4-armed alien tapped a control, and the holographic display at the center of the table showed Nova Squad members functioning after 72 hours without sleep. No sentient species can maintain combat efficiency without rest cycles. "The footage is verified," countered Anxvoth, the Zentari representative. "Commonwealth Military Command confirms these humans operated continuously for 6 days in hostile jungle conditions." Bill Porter sat quietly at the far end of the table. After the success of his team on Kelzar 9, he had been promoted to commander of the Guild's human division. Now he found himself summoned to explain his species to increasingly worried mercenary leaders. Commander Porter called Madame Zell, the ancient Volucrian who chaired the council. Her species resembled enormous butterflies, delicate wings folded behind her ceremonial armor. "Please explain how your operative Susan Rivera carried explosive devices weighing nearly her own body mass for 20 miles through dense jungle." Bill shrugged. "Standard human strength-to-weight ratio. Nothing special about it." The chamber erupted in multilingual muttering. The display shifted to show Kate Blackwood making impossible sniper shots in near darkness. "And this visual acuity in minimal light conditions," pressed Dravkel. Human night vision is average at best, Bill explained. But our pattern recognition is highly developed. We see movements more than details in darkness. More footage played. Ella Thompson continuing to treat wounded teammates despite a deep gash in her own arm. Ryan Garcia swimming underwater for nearly 3 minutes to bypass Nexari sensors. Alan Reese deliberately breaking his own finger to escape restraints. These are not normal capabilities, insisted a Dravik representative, his scales changing color with agitation. You must have enhanced your species. Bill leaned forward. Everything you've seen is standard for humans. In fact, the soldiers in Nova Squad are exceptional only in their training, not their physical attributes. Most human civilians possess many of the same traits. The silence that followed was profound. Bill could almost see the calculations happening behind alien eyes. Populations, military capabilities, expansion potential. The Nixeri have formally requested permission to include a no human engagement clause in all future contracts, Madame Zell finally said. They cite biological advantages that create an uneven playing field. They're not wrong, said a new voice. A Krell mercenary commander stood, his warrior-cased markings prominent on his chitinous face. My scouts observed Nova Squad on Viridian. I watched a human female operate in temperatures that would kill a Krell warrior in minutes without environmental protection. The display changed again, showing Lisa Shepard moving through a geothermal vent area where the ambient temperature exceeded 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The Council must address the economic implications, Anxfoth said. If top-tier mercenary groups refuse contracts involving humans, prices will destabilize across all sectors. I suggest a standard hazard multiplier, offered Dravkel. 300% increase for any contract where human military units might be encountered. Bill listened as the Council debated pricing structures and contract clauses. The irony wasn't lost on him. Less than a decade after joining the galactic community, humans were already changing how wars were fought. After 4 hours of debate, the Council made its recommendation official. Mercenary guilds could refuse contracts against human military units without penalty, and those accepting such contracts could demand triple the standard payment. As the meeting adjourned, the Dravik commander approached Bill privately. My clutch brother led the forces on Kelzar 9, he said quietly. He told me something he did not share with the guild. He said your team did not kill a single Dravik, even when you had clear opportunities. Why show mercy to enemies? Bill met the reptilian's gaze steadily. Because we didn't need to kill them to win. That's something the Council still doesn't understand about humans. We're not just good at fighting. We're good at choosing when not to fight. The Dravik's scales shifted to a deep blue. Perhaps that is the most terrifying thing about Deathworlders. You have the strength to kill, but the restraint not to. It makes you unpredictable. As Bill left the chamber, he received a message from Lisa Shepard. 3 more mercenary companies had just added no human engagement clauses to their standard contracts. Argo's station hung in space at the crossroads of 3 major trade routes. The massive wheel-shaped habitat housed 15,000 civilians from dozens of species. Its central hub contained a museum of galactic artifacts, 3 diplomatic missions, and the Commonwealth's second-largest financial exchange. Commander Lisa Shepard studied the station schematic as the Nova Squad transport approached under stealth protocols. The mission briefing had been brief. Terrorists had seized control of the station 6 hours ago and were threatening to decompress all habitation rings unless their demands were met. Update from Commonwealth Intelligence, Alan Reese said, looking up from his tablet. The terrorists tired the Void Fangs. A grim silence fell over the squad. The Void Fangs were notorious mercenaries with a perfect record of contract fulfillment. Their leader, a sentinel named Vex Har, had never failed a mission in 30 years. They're demanding political prisoners be released from Commonwealth detention, Alan continued. They're giving the Council 24 hours before they start executing hostages. Lisa nodded. Our primary mission is hostage rescue. Secondary is station preservation. Tertiary is capturing the mercenary leadership for interrogation. The squad's insertion was textbook. They used breaching pods disguised as debris to reach the station's maintenance hall. Once inside, they split into 3 teams as they had on Viridian. That's when everything went wrong. "Commander, we have a problem," Ryan reported through the comm. "They've sabotaged the environmental systems. Life support is fluctuating throughout the station." Lisa watched her suit readouts as the air pressure dropped sharply, then rose again. Temperature indicators swung wildly between freezing and sweltering. Radiation warnings flashed intermittently. "They're trying to flush us out," Ella said, checking her medical kit. "Most species can't handle these rapid environmental changes." "Most species aren't from Earth," Lisa replied. "Maintain the mission." For the next 12 hours, Nova Squad moved through the station as conditions deteriorated. The atmosphere grew thin in some sections, while others filled with heavy gases. Radiation spikes made whole corridors dangerous for the station's normal inhabitants. But for humans evolved on a world with extreme weather, radiation belts, and highly variable conditions, the challenges were manageable. The Void Fangs realized something was wrong when Lisa's team captured their first outpost. The mercenaries had been wearing full environmental suits and breathing apparatus, while the humans operated with only basic protection. "They thought we'd be as incapacitated as they were," Ryan said, securing the unconscious mercenaries. Lisa studied the station schematics again. "The command center is here, in the central hub. But it's sealed off, and they've flooded all access corridors with toxic gas." Alan pointed to a maintenance tunnel. "There's another way in. This water recycling system runs directly beneath the command center. It's flooded," Ella noted. "And the safety interlocks are fried. Anyone going in would have to hold their breath the entire way." Lisa calculated the distance, 300 meters, 3 minutes underwater, maybe 4. The other team members nodded. For humans, it was challenging but possible. Vexhar, leader of the Void Fangs, was monitoring the station's cameras when the attack came. 3 humans burst from a maintenance hatch that should have been underwater, their faces showing strain but otherwise functioning normally. Before his guards could react, the humans had deployed neural disruptors, incapacitating everyone except Vexhar himself. "Impossible," the mercenary leader hissed through his breathing mask. "No one could swim that tunnel. The pressure alone would crush your lungs." "Apparently not," Lisa said, training her weapon on him. "Surrender your forces, or we'll be forced to take more aggressive action." Vexhar stared at the humans. "You've been moving freely through areas where we needed full environmental protection. You've operated without rest for over 12 hours. You just swam 300 meters underwater." His compound eyes narrowed. "What are you?" "We're Nova Squad," Lisa answered simply, "and your contract is terminated." 2 hours later, the last of the Void Fangs surrendered. Commonwealth security forces arrived to find all 15,000 hostages alive, and the station's critical systems restored. In his formal statement to the Mercenary Guild, Vexhar wrote, "We encountered biological anomalies that violate reasonable combat parameters. The humans operated in conditions that required our forces to use Class 3 environmental protection, while they functioned with minimal equipment. No future contracts involving potential human opposition should be accepted by the Guild regardless of compensation offered." When the report reached the Mercenary Oversight Council, Madame Zell added a personal note. "The humans are not just military adversaries. They are a fundamental challenge to how warfare has been conducted for 10,000 years. We must adapt or become obsolete." 2 years after first contact, Commonwealth Military Headquarters on Europa was busier than ever. Human integration into galactic society had progressed rapidly, if not always smoothly. Lisa Shepard stood at attention before a panel of officials from 17 species, her dress uniform crisp despite the artificial gravity being set slightly too low for human comfort. Commander Shepard, began Admiral Zex Troll, now promoted to oversee all special operations. "Your Nova Squad has completed 15 high-risk missions with a 100% success rate. This is unprecedented in Commonwealth military history. Lisa maintained her professional demeanor. My team simply does what needs to be done, Admiral. What you've done, interjected a Volucrian representative, is change the nature of galactic warfare. A holographic display activated, showing an official document titled Deathworlder Protocol. Lisa had heard rumors about this for months, a standardized set of procedures for dealing with human combatants. This document was meant to be classified, continued the Volucrian. However, it appears to have been leaked to various mercenary guilds and is now widely distributed throughout the sector. Lisa scanned the document as it scrolled on the display. It contained detailed warnings about human capabilities and recommended countermeasures. Never engage humans in direct physical combat. Assume they can continue functioning with injuries that would incapacitate standard species. Expect improvisation and adaptation to conditions designed to neutralize them. Factor in their psychological resilience and pack-bonding tendencies. 2 days ago, Admiral Zextrol said, the Keratin Guild announced they will no longer accept contracts against forces containing human units. They are the 5th major mercenary organization to adopt this position. Lisa raised an eyebrow slightly. I wasn't aware we had become so famous. A Dravic military attaché leaned forward. Famous is not the word, Commander. Feared would be more accurate. There is a recording circulating of one of our most decorated mercenary commanders. He says, and I quote, I would rather fight 10 Cronus berserkers than 1 human commando. At least with the berserkers, I know what they're capable of. Lisa didn't know whether to feel proud or concerned. Nova Squad had been created to protect Commonwealth interests, not to terrify potential allies. Your success has had unexpected diplomatic consequences, explained a Tor representative, her forearms moving in complex patterns that indicated anxiety in her species. 3 previously hostile border worlds have requested peace negotiations rather than risk confrontation with human military units. If I may speak freely, Lisa said after a moment's consideration. The panel nodded. Humans aren't trying to dominate the Commonwealth. We're trying to protect it, just like any other member species. Yes, we evolved on a harsh world that gave us certain advantages, but we've also learned the cost of violence firsthand. Earth spent centuries fighting itself before we achieved unity. Yet you are naturally equipped for warfare in ways other species are not, noted the Dravic. We're equipped for survival, Lisa countered. Those traits that make us effective in combat. Our endurance, our adaptability, our ability to function in extreme conditions. These same traits can rebuild worlds, establish colonies on harsh planets, solve problems that seem insurmountable. The panel was silent for a moment before Admiral Zextrol spoke again. Perhaps that perspective is what we need most from humans. He handed Lisa a secure tablet. These are your new mission parameters. Commonwealth Intelligence has identified 3 more situations requiring Nova Squad's unique capabilities. As Lisa left the chamber, she passed Bill Porter in the hallway. The mercenary commander nodded respectfully. Heard about the Deathworlder Protocol, he said quietly. Quite the compliment, in a way. Is it true the guilds are refusing contracts against us now? Lisa asked. Bill smiled slightly, not just refusing. They're running scared. I overheard a conversation between 2 Keratin Guild leaders yesterday. Want to know what they said? Lisa nodded. The universe has always been full of predators, Bill quoted. We just never realized we weren't at the top of the food chain until the humans arrived. Later that night, as her ship prepared to depart for their next mission, Lisa looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien species were rewriting their understanding of warfare because of what humans could do. But she hoped that someday they would also understand what humans could build, protect, and preserve. For now, though, she had a job to do. Nova Squad was deploying in 6 hours, and the galaxy was watching to see what the Deathworlders would do next.